Hi, everybody. This is TNT. I'm Tommy.
And I am Nick.
And today we're going to be talking about anime weapons. If you like weapons and you don't know what to watch, we got a couple animes for you to show. So, we're going to start off with one of Nick's favorite animes.
It's going to be one of the older schools. Uh, so, most weapons we are going to talk about are, of course, swords, one most common. The second most common are usually a gun in some shape or form. Today, the first one I'm going to be talking about is known as the caster. It is a gun from the anime Outlaw Star. Caster is actually just a term that is used to fire, well, old magic is what they say in the show. It has actually a specialty shell that has to be created by wizards, mages, stuff like that, which actually exist in that show.
Awesome.
It is. So one of the comments I remember, and I may be paraphrasing, it is a combination of old and new in one. The most common wielder of the caster is your main character, Gene Starwin. There is another gentleman who uses it called, what is his name? It's right here. Ronald McDougal of the Dougal brothers. The main difference, though, is Gene's actually looks like a gun, while Ronald looks more like I'm going to say like a cross or more of a staff style. So it can vary on what they look like
Interesting.
and everything.
Do we know who made them yet?
I don't think they ever stated exactly who created them. Specialized shows. Nope. It's just
They're there.
yeah. Well, we know they were created by more likely a wizard because of the shells they use, the specialty shells, which harness a spell
Oh, makes
that
sense.
they fire. But they never actually explicitly state who created them. They do introduce two people who can create shells for it, though, in the show.
It's like Harry Potter with guns.
Yes and no, because with Gene, it is shown that a few of these shells are duds, whether or not they're just so old they no longer are useful, or that there were people out there who go, oh yeah, I'm gonna make fakes, or even a wizard go, oh, here's a caster, but it does nothing.
Well, if you take it and you think about like real life weapons, there's ammo still from World War II and stuff like that. But back then they didn't have the strict loading regime we have nowadays. Now they had one they were overloaded or underloaded. So if we could make a comparison to that, I could see why there would be some duds and some other ones.
Yeah, and not only that, but the two main ones you've seen Gene use is like in the first episode, he uses one and it shoots like a giant dragon, like a giant mana dragon at their enemy. The second one is shown is later in the series, and it literally is like a black hole, personal black hole for your enemies that devours them. But when he used those, they cause him to lose. I think they said his own life force to actually properly use them. So there is a backside down draw with these casters, because there are some that do take from the wielder. So,
All right. Well, I'm going to talk about one that you wouldn't even think would be a weapon. It is so ordinary looking, but so deadly that you wouldn't even understand. I'm going to talk about the Death Note from Death Note. Now, the Death Note is a supernatural notebook. It's about a couple inches, about 5 inches by 8 inches tall. It's a typical notebook. It has Death Note on the top. It is made by and for the
Shigegami.
Shinigami, to sustain their life as well as the principal figure of what they do. If you write anybody's name in a notebook, they will die at a certain time. Or you could write their name and how they die and what time they die. And they will die at that specific time with that specific way.
So, going with what Tommy just said, actually, it's if you just write their name, they die within the next 10 minutes of a heart attack. That's just it.
Yep. While appearances use typical black notebook, they are able to choose what adorns their notebook covers. If anything, the Shinigami can do that. Most notes, however, such as Rims, which is one of the Shinigami from Death Note,
Yeah.
are just plain black and lacking writing in their covers. But occasionally, they write their names on it as a joke. Death Notes can also be red, white, though these types are rare. Now, I didn't watch the full anime, but I need to finish it because, it's a good one. If you like suspense or...
Well, it's like an anti-hero slowly degrading into a villain, and this is what happens with the main character.
Yeah.
Because it starts off with the main character seeing wrong in the world and trying to fix it, but progressively gets twisted by that power.
Now, it doesn't matter what name you put in it, but it has to be a human name. Otherwise, it will not work.
And it has to be their full, true name.
Yes. And no matter how many names you write in a book, the book will never run out of pages. They are made from a material known to human unknown to human science. I'm sorry, words.
Yeah, Tommy can't word today.
They nevertheless feel and look like regular notebooks, and it is possible to rip and burn the pages.
So yeah, it's an interesting concept. One I'm glad does not actually exist.
Oh, that would be it that we know of.
Well, no, it's just for the simple fact is everybody's name. Well, you not only do you have to know their name, you actually have to also know their face. So, but everybody's been so publicized, so media-sized, that if that had actually existed in today's world, or even exists in general,
It would be a clusterfuck.
oh, it would be worse than that, Tommy. There may not be anybody left.
Yeah. Especially us, because we know. Now we're online. Hi!
Well, we've been online right now. It just we're getting out there more with this.
Yeah. And the main overview of what the anime is, a Shinigami drops his notebook and a human picks it up. And now he can see the Shinigami.
Yep. As long as he wields the notebook.
As long as he holds the book with him, he can see the Shinigami overlooking him.
As long as he wields it.
Oh, just owns it?
Yeah, as long as he owns it.
Alright. Yeah, that's right, because he can see him at school now, can't he?
So,
yeah. Alright.
So, my next one is actually going to be another oldie. And the name will throw people off. So, the anime is called Rave Master. This is from the same creators of Fairy Tail and Eden Zero.
Hey, we talked about them before.
Yeah, there's actually a crossover episode between Rave Master and Fairy Tail. Well, not episode, but it's like a mini movie.
Yeah, she go watch one of our other videos. We'll talk about it a little more.
Yeah. So the weapon is actually wielded by the main protagonist, Haru Glory. And the reason I say this name's going to throw you off is because the name of the weapon is called the Ten Commandments.
But we're not talking about Christianity over here.
No.
We're not going to get into that political stuff.
Yeah. So basically what it is, it's a sword that has been created by what is known as a Silver Master.
Ooh.
In the series. Basically that is a person who has a unique ability to mold silver in any way, shape, or form.
See, that if I had superpower, it would be to mold metal in any way I want.
And when it was created, it was also used, a magical power was actually used to help create it. I can't remember the name of it.
Intriguing.
Yes.
Mystery.
Because when it was created, at the exact same time, 4 stones and a small key were created at the exact same time. Those stones actually are what and the key is what allows it to transform into one of its 10 forms.
It is a Swiss Army knife.
Basically, actually, yeah. And the thing is, later down the road, if the wielder is proficient enough, he can actually combine forms to do a few things.
Interesting.
So most of the time, it's in its based form. I'm not going to try to pronounce these names because I'm going to butcher them.
But you should look it up and watch
Yes.
the anime. Definitely.
You'll actually be able to see the weapons themselves, or the forms. So the first one is just its basic form. It's just a metal blade. And in the series, it's actually very useful against magical objects because it essentially nullifies magic.
Ooh,
It's,
interesting.
well, not so much doesn't nullify it, it just, magic doesn't really affect it.
Okay.
Because it's a basic metal sword.
I'm rubber, you're glue. Whatever you say to me bounces off me and sticks to you.
That's one way to look at it, but not really. The next one is one of the most common ones they use. And what it does is it allows the wielder to create explosions, but at the cost of the user's stamina.
Ooh, sounds like a Naruto blade.
It does, actually.
With the boom blade from one of the seven swordsmen of the West.
So, those are actually the two most common you see for a while until it gets into our main character trying to find and gather this gravestones, the 4 stones that are guarded that allow him to awaken more of the forms. The next form is actually a speed form.
Gotta go fast.
Funny you say that. The blade form and that is actually blue.
Ah, it's Sandy.
Yes.
Gotta go fast. Everybody, let's go.
So the next one is known. This one I can say. It's known as Rune Save.
Ooh.
And the way they describe it when they first show it is it's this sword that cuts what cannot be cut.
Alrighty now.
So it's actually a sword meant to be more of a seal.
But can it cut stuff that can be cut?
No, faces right through it.
Nice.
And that's the entire purpose of the blade.
That's a interesting design, and also that's good story writing right there, because it's the sword that can cut stuff that cannot be cut, but cannot cut the stuff that can be cut.
So it's basically meant to be used to like seal items, like seal magic in people.
Walker breaker.
And one of the things they use it with is, I believe the technique was called Sonic Seal. And basically it's combining the speed form with seal form with Rune Save and sealing somebody's magic.
Cool. That is intriguing.
The next one is actually very interesting because by this point in time, the blade had actually been broken in two at one point in time.
No.
And it was actually reforged by the original forger, and who you later find out is his grandson, who is a companion of our main character. Well, it gets broken again. Or that's what people think. And truthfully and honestly, it wasn't broken. He had actually unlocked its next form, known as Blue Crimson. Basically a sword of ice and a sword of fire.
Cool.
So yeah.
Like a burning desire.
And it's difficult to wield because it is a dual blade that way. Next is the power of wind, known as Melforce. It creates gigantic gales of wind. So good for like trying to push back an enemy. This next one is actually very interesting because with Melforce and this one, it creates black holes.
Oh, now that's awesome.
It's known as Gravity Core.
Oh, it's even got an awesome name.
So basically what it is, it's heavy, extremely heavy. Our character is a little bit too physically weak to properly wield it. So how he wields it is he will like jump up and come down from a height while transforming into the blade to give it extra whoosh.
You get a black hole. You get a black hole. You don't need one.
So from there, the next one is known as Million Suns.
Ooh, sounds bright.
If I remember correctly, it looks more like a short sword or even a dagger.
Alrighty.
And basically what it is, it's a holy blade that emits holy light, used very well against people or even objects of dark.
It's a rock star.
Well, the thing is, there's I can't remember where, but there's artifacts that are actually dark artifacts being created that their enemies wield.
Ooh.
So this blade actually helps him out against a couple of them because it negates the abilities that they produce.
Alrighty.
So the ninth form is actually the worst form this sword has.
Boom.
Mainly because it's a sacrifice.
Oh.
And what I mean by that is literally the wielder is sacrificing their life, their sanity to wield this.
Sounds like Might Guy's last form in Naruto. Oh, the Eighth Gate, yeah.
Yes. So, yeah.
Eighth Gate of Death.
Well, it's mainly because it's the sword of bloodlust.
But I'm guessing it gives him invincible power.
Yes. But it sort of takes away everything but rage. So that's why it's known as a sacrifice.
Interesting.
And the 10th form, there's actually two of them.
Ooh, 2 for 1.
No.
Oh, 1 for 2.
No. So the 10th form depends on the wielder.
Okay.
So in order to achieve the 10th form, it has to be reforged each time to be suited for that wielder,
It's Eevee
basically.
for Pokemon.
Because the first one that we know of is the original one, which is the original wielder, Shiba, known as Star Raver. Interesting name.
Yeah.
Haru's, however, is known as Ravelet.
Ooh, Ravelet. Yeah.
And it's actually has the full power of the Rave. So it allows Haru to access the full power.
Nice.
Yes.
Alrighty. Sounds like a cool anime. You should go watch it if you like weapons.
So a little trivia.
Ooh, gotta love the trivia.
Yes. So like I said at the beginning of this section, Rave Master was actually created by the same people who did Fairy Tail.
Love Fairy Tail?
Yes. Well, did you know Ezra Nightwalker? Or Urza. Sorry.
Ezra is from other anime. Yeah.
Their names are similar, so I get them. Yeah, Urza Nightwalker, who is in the Mirror World.
Ooh.
Her spear is actually based off of the Ten Commandments.
Oh, all right. Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense because she can re-equip everything.
Yep.
Nice. Alrighty.
All right, so next one is Tommy.
All right, so this is an anime. It's called Black Clover. Black Clover is a society, or I guess nations of magic users, except for this one boy who's the main character of the anime. He has 0 magic abilities.
Demon.
Yeah, he's got a demon inside him, but she doesn't know that for a while.
Huh.
He gets
Where have we heard that before?
quite a few other things. But he gets a blade to start off called the Demon Slayer's Sword. Now, this blade is special because it is a massive great sword. It is similar to, I would say, Guts' sword from
Berserk.
which we'll go back a little later on that one. But it is an anti-magic sword, so which means it nullifies magic by slicing through it. Which and Asta has been training his body ever since he was young, just to be able to become the Wizard King, because that's what his goal is. And even without magic, he's still training and never gets disappointed. Now with his new magic nullifying sword, he can beat wielders of extremely powerful magic with fairly ease. And the first one is a massive sword. It's huge. And then he's got a second one he gets on later when he goes to a dungeon called a Demon Dweller Sword. Now this one, it's also a magic nullifier, but it can take the magic from Asa's friends. Oops, sorry. We'll be right back. And we're back. Sorry. It's very cold outside, so we try to stay warm.
Yes.
So this one, again,
does not have heat.
is the Demon Dweller Sword. Now, it also nullifies magic, but it can also absorb the magic abilities from Asa's close friends and use it as a slash of magic power through the air. Now, with that, he uses it to defeat one of his enemies that's in the magic dungeon that he is in at the time where he finds the sword. And he takes his friend's water abilities and slices through the crystals. And he wields both of them in tangent quite often because he is that strong to be able to lift these giant black metal blades. And the whole blade is steel, not even just even the handle. Eventually, he gets a third sword called the Demon Destroyer Sword. This is found within the central room of the Gravito Rock Zone, or floating dungeon, other in the anime. And when he sums it out of his grimoire, which is a floating magic book that everybody in the anime gets. And he just pulls them out, so he doesn't have to haul them around all the time. It's like a space. Think of the D&D bag of
Holding.
holding.
Or even from Naruto, like the sealing jutsus that they do, that they seal items away in.
Yes, the blade is a unique blade with the wide edge that appears to have clover symbols at the top. So it starts off skinny and then widens out. There's a blade in real life that looks like that, but I can't remember what it's called. But it has a special ability called Casualty Break. It absorbs and removes the effects of spells by severing the cause and effect relationship. So pretty much he can touch a person who is suffering from poison magic, and the magic is absorbed into the blade, and now it's nullified. Yes, it nullifies magic, but not in the way the other two blades does. Eventually, he gets a fourth blade called the Demon Slasher Katana, which I gotta watch the rest of the series to find out what it does. But it says here, it is capable of cutting through magic and spells with its edge. It's also capable of releasing flying slashes of anti-magic, which when united in these slashes damage only the intended target and do not cause any harm to what user wants to protect. So it's got to have some kind of a sentient process to it when he's in his demon form. And he wields these with quite blade efficiency. But yeah, over to the next one.
So Tommy made a small reference to it, what we're going to talk about next. And I will actually use a quote that they used to describe this blade.
Bow, bow, bow.
It was too big to be called a sword, massive, thick, heavy, and far too rough. Instead, it was a heap of raw iron.
It's a sheet of metal.
Basically. So that quote is actually from Berserk, and it goes to Guts' sword known as the Dragon Slayer.
Oh, gotta love the dragons.
Yes. It is the weapon he wields after the eclipse. So if you don't know what that is, it's basically a massive ritual, sacrificial ritual that the bands of hawks were the sacrifices for.
I have just started watching this, so this is interesting.
Yes. So
Now, if you don't like blood and gore, this is not an anime to watch. But if you're into that stuff, I would highly recommend it.
So it has the creator as a blacksmith known as Godat, is I believe how you pronounce his name. Oh, sorry, that's me.
Amateurs. Yes, we are.
No, it was an alarm for give medicine to one of my pets. So my wife's got it. It's wielded by Guts as the main character, and it was tempered by the malice of countless spectrals, spirits, basically demonic spirits. So it can be used to not only just totally and utterly destroy living creatures, but also spirits.
It cuts people in half and it cuts spirits in half. It is no discrimination.
No.
It is death to all.
Yeah, let's see here. I want to see if I can get at least some more info on it. Oh, it doesn't really say much of it. But the blade itself is roughly 6-7 feet long without the handle included. I want to say Guts, our main character, is wielding it proficiently with one hand, and it weighs roughly I think about 300 pounds or something like that.
Yeah, it is not wieldable in real life.
No.
Not with one hand, like he does in the anime.
But then again, we get a lot of stuff like that.
But yeah, like my next blade will be one. But yeah.
So, probably the last blade we talk about, too. Go ahead.
No, I got a couple blades. So my next blade is called the Executioner Blade, or its real name, Kabakiri Boko.
And
I definitely butchered that.
yes, he did.
Kubakiri Boko. It's probably closer. Now, this Executioner Blade is a large sword reminiscent of the Cloudbuster sword from Final Fantasy VII. It is a massive broadsword shaped like a butcher's knife with a hole near the tip of the blade and a semicircle near the handle. It is extremely efficient at decapitations. Now, the blade itself has a special ability to heal itself if broken by using the blood of the opponent it executes.
Basically, what it does is it sucks up the iron and the blood to reform itself.
Yes. It has had a couple different wielders. The first one we know of is a man named Judo Biwa. I don't know much about him, but he was the first user. The next user we know a lot about was Zabuza Momichi, which is the first one, enemy you see in the Naruto anime, the first Naruto.
False.
Well, the first main villain that Naruto really fights.
False. Mizuki. He does come back.
Yes, he does.
So, and I would still claim him being the first villain.
Yeah, all right. I'll go first villain Team 7 fights.
Very well.
There we go. Zabuza is named Demon of the Hidden Mist. Very much he wanders in with this to a graduating class and kills all of the ninjas. Just, you're dead. That's how powerful he is.
No, it's just how tenacious he is, because that was basically what their
Whole thought process was.
whole graduation thing was they had to kill to graduate in the mist, and they changed that after him.
Yeah. Zabuza got the Executioner Blade shortly after he joined the 7 Ninja Swordmen of the Mist, which is an organization of 7 great sword wielders. They all have their special abilities themselves. Another one was Shigetsu and Mangetsu of Kozuki.
Brothers who are from the same clan who, well, I don't know if Orochimaru,
Orochimaru had Shigetsu who did some experiments on him and made
Well,
him like water.
well, no, I thought that was part of the clan's ability. I don't know whether Orochimaru magnified it or not, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. But we're not here to talk about the anime. We're about to talk about the weapons. So,
Excuse me.
we see the last person we know that wields it notably is Kakashi Sensei, who wields it against Zabuza when he gets reincarnated. And they wield it with proficiency because it's a very, very heavy blade, so no normal person can wield it unless you are very skilled and excellent in swordsmanship.
Not necessarily. I mean,
It's not as heavy as Guts, but it would still be a very heavy sword.
Yeah, well, again, not necessarily, because as long as they know how to enhance their strength via chakra,
True.
they can negate majority of that right then and there. They just have to get comfortable enough with swinging it. But
yeah, that is the Executioner's Blade from Naruto.
I thought that was going to be the last one. So,
Yeah, we have 2 more. Well, your last one and my last one.
so my last one is technically a group, not so much a single blade. It's a group.
All right, all right.
It's from Bleach. It's known as the Zanpakuto, or Soul Slayer.
Yeah. Now these
It
are
is
some
the
weapons.
main weapon of your Shikigami, your Rankar, and your Vizard. It was technically created by a member of Zero Squad. He's a master forger. I say technically is because he just created the physical extension of the Zanpakuto, as the spiritual aspect has always been with the wielder, as the Zanpakuto is part of their soul. What I mean by that is a Zanpakuto isn't really a Zanpakuto until after a Shikigami is given an Asuchi, or a nameless blade, soulless blade. And as the Shikigami meditate while channeling their spiritual energy through the blade, their Zanpakuto will gradually alter itself to what it needs to be for them. So that means the blade can actually change size, the hilt and taba change as well. So, because we see this actually, and this is going to be a spoiler, with Ichigo. For those of you who don't know, at the very beginning of this series, Ichigo was never given an Azuchi, but he had his Zanpakuto.
I guess he's a badass, that's why.
No. It's actually his, again, spoilers, Quincy side actually forcing a Zanpakuto to materialize for him, using spiritual energy to create one. And it wasn't until his Bankai was broken in this latest arc, the 1,000-Year Blood War, and being told, you have to go to Zero Squad, or the home of the Spirit King, to go and have it reforged. And that's where Ichigo is told, yeah, you never had a Zanpakuto.
Bum, bum, bum.
And it took 2 or 3 tries for the actual creator of the Zanpakutos to forge Ichigo a blade. And in the process, Ichigo, I know I'm getting a lot off track with this, but
Oh, blades.
Yep. He had to put some spiritual energy in it. Well, Ichigo goes right up to the forging fire, because it didn't fire, shoves his hands in there and pours his spiritual energy in it.
Oh my god, he's got so much.
He does. So where this forge is, it's like in the middle of an ocean, sort of like area. Once Ichigo does that, it quenches automatically after the spiritual energy was added. And when it quenched, it evaporated the ocean. And that's all I'm going to leave it right there. And that's one of the main scenes that once they get to that point in time in the series, even if I haven't watched up to that point yet, I'm going to sit down and watch the forging of Ichigo's true Zanpakuto.
There we go. So, my last one, and the last one of the video, will be called The God Arc, from the God Eater anime. The God Arc is the main weapon of choice of the characters of God Eater's universe. Like the Aragami, these weapons play an important role in the story and gameplay, because it's based off a video game and an anime. The God Arcs are mechanical weapons that are infused with oracle cells. In short, the God Arcs are actually an Aragami itself. So there's the alien that is invading Earth, who's taken over most of the Earth, is in the blade itself to kill the other aliens. There are a couple different versions of the God Arc. There is the old type God Arc, which are either guns or swords, like weapons. You got the God Eater 2 of Rage Burst, which the first generation God Arcs in countries above and or whatever. They siphon oracle cells and sent them to the first generation God Arcs. The new type, which is the new type of God Eater itself, they can switch back and forth between a blade version and a gun version that can shoot and absorb the oracle cells from the Aragami. You get the Rage Burst version of that one, and then you got the third generation God Arc, which pretty much is a massive sword gun kind of exploding piece of metal that shoots through the air and kills everything. And it's really cool. And the anime style for God Eaters is really interesting because it's not like a lot of other kind of anime styles. And if you like video game kind of anime, I would watch this one to see the really cool weapons inside. But that's pretty much all I got for my stuff.
Yep.
So, again, this is another episode from the anime coverage, and we're going to be signing off.
See y'all later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.